Biden 2024, more like Biden 2020 snore. A new AP poll shows just 37% of Democrats want Biden to run for a second term. That's down from 52%. Was that in 2020? No, that was in October. Ouch. Meanwhile, 62% of Americans say Biden has achieved little or nothing during his first term. This according to a new Washington Post ABC News poll. Yeah, those conservatives, Democrats desperate to spin it differently. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says President Biden is just the best guy ever.
I mean, you saw our poll. A large number of Democrats say they don't want him to run again.
He is an absolutely historically successful president. This president has exceeded expectations again and again politically and functionally. At the end of the day, you can't argue with the extraordinary accomplishments, more than almost any other modern president that President Biden has achieved, again, under the toughest of circumstances.
Yeah, you can absolutely argue with it. You can argue quite a lot, I'd say. Is he auditioning for the Veep seat? Is the president limping into his bid for re-election? The panel is back. Jason Rantz, Hahn, Hannah Cox. Jason, I will start with you. What is Pete Buttigieg doing? He's not being honest with the American people. You know, a good Bill Clinton-like Democrat will feel your pain, and that is the first step toward getting the electorate to trust you. So when you make things better, they acknowledge it. This administration has an allergy to that.
They do. And what I find just kind of funny here is that they have to pretend that they're serious about him running again. Like Pete Buttigieg and anyone else who's working in this administration, they can't come out and just go after the president. They obviously cannot do that. And so Democrats right now are kind of in a tricky situation where they don't want him to run. They need to make sure that he doesn't actually run. And maybe this is Pete Buttigieg just kind of giving us some ammunition, because when you come out there and you say, this guy is historically important, the most important president in the history of the world, well, obviously that's going to mean that we're going to come back and say, okay, can you point to some of those accomplishments? And I just, part of me wonders if there is this campaign to overstate the importance of this presidency to make it even more obvious that he shouldn't actually run. But maybe I'm being conspiratorial.
Okay, so Chris, if only 37% of Democrats want him to run again, and that's down 15 points from October, you have to admit that for the leader of the party, that is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's a historically low number for a president seeking re-election. But that said, if he seeks re-election, he's going to be the Democratic nominee for president, and I believe he'll be re-elected if he runs for re-election. As for the poll that says people didn't see his accomplishments, that's what the pollster asked the next question when they start talking about the accomplishments he did, like low unemployment, like job creation, like the transportation bill, like the CHIPS Act, like the rollout of the vaccine. He's done a lot of things that if a pollster says he's done all these things, how much accomplishments has he done? His number on that will go up. So, look, I don't envy anybody going out and have to answer these questions at this point in the presidency before he's announced. But once he announces and the campaign starts to make his case, you'll see those numbers turn around.
Well, he'll have a chance tomorrow night because it is State of the Union. But if 62% of the people think that the president has little or no accomplishments under his belt, that's a perception problem. And you know, the transportation secretary coming out on the Sunday morning talk shows saying that voters are dumb doesn't necessarily help make the president's case. Now, Hannah, we are obviously coming out of a very difficult and crippling pandemic. The vaccine rollout was under the last administration. The government shut down under the last administration. There were a lot of things that the last administration did that I disagree with. I don't think this administration should be taking credit for any of the gains, which haven't brought most of the economy back to baseline.
Well, that's exactly right. I don't think Trump or his administration gets a pass. I don't think most of Congress gets a pass. They all voted for the spending and a lot of the pandemic policies that created the problems we're currently living with. Yes. But for them to act like in the Biden administration that they have clean hands and they came in and saved the day, no, they amplified everything that was going wrong under the last administration. They would have done even more. They wanted to spend trillions of dollars of money more than what they actually got to, thanks to Joe Manchin stopping Build Back Better. But what they did do was continue to spend more money, to print more dollars, to keep the economy locked down. And now they want to come in and celebrate these wins. So they'll say, we brought down gas $1 in the past month. Well, yeah, at first your policies jacked it up to $5. So it's still higher than it was before you got into power. They'll say, we created 10 million new jobs. Okay, pandemic policies shut down 9.6 million jobs. They'll say, we reduced the deficit. Yeah, because in 2020, deficit spending tripled. So they have this way of trying to be funny with the numbers, and I guess they really do think the American people are dumb because they think they can't see through it, and that they're going to convince them they did all these wonderful things, and it's simply just ridiculous.
Well, no, they're showing the American people that the former Republican president destroyed the economy and the job market, and we fixed it.
Do you think he did the wrong thing by shutting down
Democrats who wanted it closed.
down the country? I didn't hear a lot of Democrat opposition to that, Chris.
I think he did the wrong thing by shutting down the USAID office in China. That would have stopped the virus from coming here in the first place.
Absolutely would not have.
I think that's what he did wrong. I think that he traded. I think he ignored the pandemic for way too long and let it come here like a Chinese balloon.
Okay, Chris.
No, I'm actually
no, Chris,
on point.
You are taking a very, very minor issue and trying to turn that into some sort of a straw man. It is intellectually dishonest, and I won't let you do it here.
You take the country as you get it. You take the country as you get it. It was in decline when we took over.
Okay, but before the pandemic, to the former president's credit, gas prices were lower, inflation was much lower, unemployment and the economic outlook in this country were much, much better. I don't trust that this administration right now, given all the circumstances, if they were identical in 2020, that they would have had better execution. I think they, based on the type of statists who are surrounding the president now, I think they could have, believe it or not, made it much, much worse.